Hello and welcome to another Steps of Sussex episode, live chat. I'm back, I'm live streaming. Hello, can you all see me? I'm hoping people are going to drop in as always. Well, not as always, as has not been the case for the last few weeks. I have not been live streaming, but I am today. YouTube seems to have sorted out all of its issues and problems, so we are back with a live stream. Just in case you are wondering, I am wearing the Princess Diana Spencer tiara, which of course belongs to the Spencer family. That was not retained by William and Harry when it came to Diana's passing. So this tiara is the Spencer tiara, and I thought I would wear that today. I can just see some people dropping in, so I am going to go to the chat room and see exactly what people are saying. And it's just occurred to me that I need to open another window. I've got several windows open already. I didn't actually know what to call today's video because there's quite a few topics over the past couple of days that I need to get through. But I also wanted to answer your viewer questions. So 2 days ago now, I posted a little post on the community section saying if you've got any topics or any questions that you want me to answer, I will read them and I will answer them as best I can in a live chat. So let me just find the live chat so I can follow along with you all. Here we are. I can finally see myself. Let's just make sure that the sound is down. It is. Oh, we have 49 people watching already. By the way, I hope you are staying safe wherever you are. And of course, following all of your local government guidelines. Sandra, yes, I am feeling better. I was going to do this chat yesterday, but it's one of those days where I just felt so tired and drained. You know, when your limbs just get really heavy. There's lots of hay fever as well going around at the moment. Sometimes I do get hay fever and can feel a little bit that way. So yeah, I took the afternoon off yesterday and I just rested. I worked on uploading my weekly vlog, but anyway, I'm back. I'm perfectly fine. Yes, for some of you, this will be very, very early if you're watching from a different country. Yes, rejuvenated. I do feel rejuvenated. Okay, lots of stories to get into first. I will do all of the viewer questions last. So I want to kind of get into different things first. So the first kind of story that I want to talk about today is the video that was released, and it was Harry talking about the Invictus Games. Now, as we know, this year's Invictus Games is not going ahead because of all the coronavirus, COVID-19, countries in lockdown, everything that people are having to go through. The Invictus Games, sadly, is not going through. And usually, it's sporting events like this that bring people together. So it is a real big shame that this is not going ahead. And of course, the Invictus Games as well is for those who have been wounded in the name of battling for their country. So you know, this is a real heavy shame that this is not able to go ahead as planned. But Prince Harry did deliver a really good message about that. So what I'll do is, I'm sure you've seen it already anyway, but I will post a link in the description to it. I'm going to use the link on Twitter. So if you haven't seen it already, follow this link and it will be there. I will also post this link in the description as well. Now, this video caused quite a stir. And I'm going to say it caused quite a stir because lots of people took to social media, leaving comments, and sorry, my internet has gone really slow. I'm battling trying to open and switch between windows. People were talking about Harry's appearance mainly in the comment section of different social medias. Now, I have to say, when I first saw the video, I actually saw it when I was going to bed. So because of obviously the time difference between the UK and the US, where Harry and Meghan are now based in LA, I was just getting ready for bed. So I popped into bed, I noticed that there was updates on Twitter, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, I mean, there was a little bit of an audible gasp. I thought, oh my goodness, something looks different. Harry looks different. What is it? What is it about him that looks different? And the skin looked different. His skin looked different. It looked smoother. His hair looked different. It looked less of his red tones. And also his voice sounded a little bit different as well. And then I thought, is it just me? Am I the only one that's saying that he looks a little bit different? So I read the comments, and there was a lot of, as you can expect, a lot of nasty, negative comments. Then when I looked on other different platforms, there was lots of positive comments saying how well he looked, and people thinking he looked really, really well. So in the interest of balance, I thought to myself, well, what actually is making him look different? It could be the fact that he's getting more sunshine. It could be the clothes, being a little bit more dressed down. And then I actually thought, well, actually, no. The video came out of the OnSide when he was talking about the youth zones. And in that video, he looked like normal Harry again. So that got me thinking, what is actually up with the Invictus Games video? And I think it's quite simple. I think it's just a case of lighting, potentially maybe like a filter. The sort of Snapchat filters and Instagram filters and things you can get that just, make your skin look a little bit more, less, you know what I mean? It makes you look good. And I think the lighting could have accounted for the hair looking a slightly different colour. Also the background as well. I think the background almost looked like the background had been superimposed afterwards. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, Harry did look different in that video. Then he looked completely as normal in the OnSide Youth Zones video. So I think it was all in the production of that Invictus Games video. Something somewhere just made Harry look a little bit different. Also, he does look a little bit slimmer as well. So whether or not he's been doing, as many of us have, started a health kick whilst in lockdown. I myself have started with my NutriBullet again. I've actually had a really blended, nice fruit juice drink today. So whether or not Harry's, doing some yoga or swimming, that kind of thing, I don't know. But he did look different in that video. I've read good comments, I've read bad comments. All I wanted to do was just look at why he looks different. And I think it's all in the production of the video. Let me know what you think. Well, I think it's the lighting, possibly a filter on the top, and then possibly the background. It could have been shot against a green screen. It looks a little bit like maybe a green screen type screen going on there. I'll stop, pause here and just see what people are saying. Oh yes, by the way, is it Happy Mother's Day today? Because I may have got a little bit confused. I thought it was Mother's Day in the US yesterday. So is it Mother's Day in the US today or yesterday? I'm getting a little bit confused with that one. Sean says Meghan and Harry are glowing. That Californian sun is treating them well. It may very well be the sun. But like I say, Harry looked normal. He looked completely normal in the OnSide video, and then he did look a little bit different in the Invictus Games video. Oh, Mother's Day was yesterday. Thank you. I thought it was. So for anybody who has celebrated Mother's Day, a really big happy Mother's Day to you from me. Also, as far as I'm aware, anyway, we didn't get any official photograph or video message celebrating the US Mother's Day from Harry, Meghan and Archie. However, I don't think that's too much of a big deal because we got that really, really adorable duck rabbit video, which I think kind of made up, it kind of makes up for everything. Father's Day, Mother's Day, everything. So, yeah, I think we should just enjoy the duck rabbit. My order is still on. So I ordered duck rabbit, if you didn't know, because I want to read it to my new kitten. And when kitten gets here, I'm trying to be really good and not give the baby name away. So yeah, I will be reading Duck Rabbit when that gets here. I'm also looking forward to Finding Freedom as well when that gets here in August. Stephanie says, what was bad about the video? Hopefully he's getting some... There is nothing bad about the video. Absolutely nothing. I'm just saying I read some... As you can imagine, you know, there are opposite ends. There are different factions. And I've read tons and tons and tons of viewer comments. I've read lots of bad ones. I've read lots of really, really good ones. And there is nothing bad about the video. I just think he looked different, and like I say, I think it was lighting the production of that video, because the OnSide video, which I'm going to talk about in the next segment, he looked as we would typically, as we've seen him before. That's just my observations, let's put it that way. Do I think we'll get to see Harry and Archie pictures for Father's Day? Maybe. It's hard to tell, because obviously, you know, they can do exactly, Harry and Meghan can do exactly what they want to do when they want to do it with regards to releasing pictures, images. Like I say, we didn't get anything for Mother's Day, from the US version of Mother's Day. Whether or not we'll get Father's Day, we will have to wait and see. Right, before I got slightly waylaid, I do want to move on to the next story, which is, of course, the OnSide video, which he released yesterday. So, Prince Harry has long been a big supporter and associated with youth in this country and many countries across the Commonwealth. So he's praised young British people, in this instance, for not just surviving, but also for thriving during the coronavirus pandemic, in a video message which is said to be recorded at their LA home for a charity award. So Harry appeared overjoyed to be recording the message for the OnSide Awards, with a video clip playing before the 2019 ceremony streamed in full. Sorry, 2019, I mean 2020. So it was just a really good, positive, full, warm message, just reminding people that even though we're going through these terrible hardships, one day we will be there, we will be able to, you know, have the best time of our lives, possibly with a youth zone event, if you do indeed go to those youth zones. Lots of people have picked up on the surviving and thriving quote. It did echo a message spoken by Meghan during that ITV documentary, An African Journey, in which Meghan spoke of her desire to thrive in life. It's not just acceptable to survive, you have to also thrive as well. In the video clip, Harry said, "Hats off to every single one of you for surviving, but also for thriving." When discussing the challenges of royal life, Meghan, during the African journey, told Tom Bradby, "I've said for a long time to H, that's what I call him, it's not enough to just survive something, right? That's not the point of life. You've got to thrive, you've got to feel happy." And I think many people can echo those sentiments. In the video clip, which was shared online yesterday, Prince Harry said, "Just a few months ago, we were all together in London on the OnSide Youth Awards. And wow, what a night that was. I remember meeting so many incredible people and hearing your stories of strength, of determination, of resilience, but ultimately of courage." He continued, "These stories are, and these challenges, these daily challenges that you guys are coming up against are unbelievable. So many people will never understand. You guys have had the strength to pull through. I can only imagine in the last 6 weeks have made it even more challenging, but this too shall pass. Before you know it, you'll be back together again, probably in a youth zone, running around, having the best time ever." And of course, this message was almost identical to those spoken by Meghan when she was in South Africa talking to Tom Bradby. OnSide, in case you didn't know, is one of the UK charities, in addition to his private patronages, that Prince Harry has publicly committed to in his new independent role. The charity has built 12 youth clubs in England and appears to be close to Harry's heart, with the royal having visited various facilities at least 3 times over. He most recently visited OnSide Youth Zone, I'm sure you can all remember the event, in London's Barking and Dagenham, and that was actually April of 2019, having previously visited Wigan in 2016 and the Hive Wirral Youth Zone in January 2019. I remember reporting on all of those, and whenever Harry has been to an OnSide Youth Zone, he's always got involved, got stuck in, and always seems to be having a really, really good time with those who are attending for themselves. OnSide Youth Zones pride themselves in providing a safe environment where young people can come and enjoy themselves, build key skills, and raise their aspirations and confidence to create a happier and healthier generation. And there we go. So that video message, again, if you haven't seen that, I will go and copy a link to it, which I will post, and then you can watch it. If you're watching on catch up, I will post that link as well. Just bear with me whilst I flick between pages, because my internet is being a little bit slow today. So there we go. Let's just go up and find it. So here is the link to that message. Now, on the message that I've just posted the link to as well, it is a Twitter posting by Omid Scobie. It says there is a link to the full show on YouTube. Now, I clicked on that link and it's not working for me. So it might be working for you. I don't know. Click on the link in that tweet and it might take you to the full show. If not, then you're just like me. It's not working. So, I mean, I'll try it again now. I don't think it is. When I open it... Oh, is something coming up? Hang on. Bear with me. No, it says video unavailable. So... just so you know what I'm seeing, I get video unavailable when I click on that. So don't be too disappointed if you can't actually, if that doesn't work. I don't think it's working for many people at the moment. And I think I've just clicked off my live chat window. Right, let me go back to YouTube and find the live chat window. Seriously, this internet is so slow. Oh! Right, it's coming back. It's all coming back. There we go. So I'll pause here and read what people have got to say about those 2 videos. I'm sure people have a lot to say. Right, it's just coming up now. Oh, by the way, we have 186 people watching. So if you are watching and you're enjoying it, please don't forget to give a thumbs up. Sean says, Duck Rabbit sold out in hours. It did. As soon as I saw the video, I went straight onto Amazon and ordered Duck Rabbit because I knew that it was going to have sold out. Lots of people also saying that perhaps that was a gift from Oprah, because obviously being she's supportive of youths with reading, so it could potentially have been a book club gift from Oprah. Sean says, I love how positive this YouTube channel is, which isn't the norm for Harry and Meghan's news. I mean, I do have something to say about these different channels here on YouTube. And just as I mentioned a little bit earlier, a lot of them are polarizing. There is either the one extreme of hate. There's this, this kind of wave of hate channels out there. And then there are also the positive channels, but there are also positive channels that are, very, very much only saying things. And when you've got 2 polarizing opposites, sometimes the truth is more kind of somewhere in the middle. So I would just be very, very careful what you watch, because, there can be bias on both sides, is what I'm trying to say. And what I try to do, the very, very best that I possibly can here on this channel, is to read the facts, talk about the facts, and where we don't have any facts, we can talk about things, we can talk about different topics, but just pointing out to people that something may not be true, or it may not have viable sources, even though it could be a big story out there. Take, for example, the Meghan and Harry living in LA. Now, it was, and I say in quotes, revealed by the Daily Mail that Harry and Meghan are living in Tyler Perry's LA, or one of his homes in LA. Now, we do not know if that is true or not. Many of the news publications, YouTube channels, all kind of went out there straight away, regurgitated it. We don't actually know if that's true. Many of the media sources are reporting it as true, but Meghan and Harry have not revealed where they are living. So we can't come out there and say that they are definitely living at that place. But it kind of matters not whether... different ways of reporting it as well. So we've got those channels who are saying, latching on to, are they paying for it? Are they staying there as house gifts and are house guests? And then we've got all just different speculation going on out there, and it's just not useful, because what actually matters is getting over everything that we're going through right here, right now. Harry and Meghan eventually will put down roots somewhere, and it is really, really important for a young family to put down those roots. Over the last 3-4 months, they've been in Canada, they've been in LA, they've lived in different locations, different houses, and it will be useful ultimately for Harry and Meghan to set down a permanent base, somewhere that they can actually call a home of their own. And as we know, with everything that's happening with COVID-19, buying a house isn't just as simple as it was. You can't just go and view a house as we could previously. So Harry and Meghan will get there. I imagine where they are staying now in LA, whether it is Tyler Perry's mansion or not, we really don't know. But where they are now is going to be a stopgap until they find their place where they can put down roots and finally settle down. So yeah, I wish them all the best and all the luck in finding that property, wherever it might be. I mean, I've heard different things about different locations where they're looking at. Again, we don't know. Harry and Meghan know where they want to live, what sort of property they want. And if they are staying in Tyler Perry's mansion as guests, then to be perfectly honest, what a lovely, nice, kind man Tyler Perry is, to actually, to say, well, hey, I've got this house, and if you want to stay here, stay here. Alternatively, they could also be paying rent on it. I mean, I've heard different valuations on how much rent they could be paying. Additionally, they may not be there at all. They could be somewhere completely different. So yeah, it's a bit of a minefield with kind of all this information. So unless they actually say anything themselves, or kind of almost kind of hint or reveal where they are, we aren't really 100% going to know. And also, we don't know how those different news outlets found out where they're living either. So anyway, we have to always question our sources, shall we say. Right. And I would like to read more comments, but my computer's just... Oh, why is it being so slow? I really don't know. Right, hang on. Christine says, that house is not too shabby either. Well, it's not. I mean, to be perfectly honest, if somebody offered me to stay... Tyler, if you're watching, I wouldn't mind a holiday. I agree with Jacqueline. It's not really anyone's business with whose home or why or where they are staying. I completely agree. Claudia says, you don't have to talk about everything you see online to get clicks. If you verify your information, we can rely on that channel's information. It should be what matters. I completely agree. In fact, I did put out a message on the community section of this page saying that I most definitely was not going to make a video talking specifically about how Harry and Meghan were going to celebrate Archie's birthday. I'd heard tons and tons of different things, and I'm not going to mention them now. I'm just talking around the subject as an example. And I actually put out a comment, a community post saying, I'm not going to comment on that because we don't know. I mean, how is that particular news reporter, how on earth would she know when Harry and Meghan have actually cut off ties with the tabloids here in the UK? How on earth would she have known how Harry and Meghan, or what they plan to do on Archie's birthday? It was kind of... I just didn't see any point in repeating it. I'm not going to now either. Becky says, I've only found one other channel that is positive on Harry and Meghan, but I only know that I'm your favourite. Well, thank you. By the way, if... maybe some people don't know, but if there are channels, and occasionally they pop up here on YouTube in my recommendations, you can actually turn them off and hide them. So if you don't like a particular channel, if you don't, if it's one of those hate ones, you can actually put hide from recommendations. I think you click on the three dots by the side of the recommendation and you can actually hide the whole thing. I've done that with a lot of channels out there. Oh, apparently it was a gift from Oprah and it was confirmed. I didn't see that Oprah had confirmed it, so there we go. Lots of people were right then. It was a gift from Oprah's book club, or rather from Oprah on behalf of her book club. Yay. Right, I am going to move on, I think, now to, if my internet will let me. In fact, it might help maybe if I close down some of the windows that I've already spoke about, maybe. Right, just bear with me while I try and close down some windows. Okay. Right, we are closing down some windows. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do now, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to answer some questions. So I'm going to the community post that I put a few days ago, and I'm going to read through some of the comments. So, I've had a lot of comments asking almost the same thing, but phrased in different ways, and some of the questions were based on the tabloids, the British tabloids, the British press. Why do British people read the tabloids? I've had people say, why do they fall for them? Why do they read the lies? Why do I think there is so much negative articles on Meghan? Why is tabloid journalism so mainstream in Britain? And I'm going to attempt to answer that. Now, this is not just it's not just a really simple answer that you can just, there is a definitive answer. There are lots and lots of different factors that come into this. So I thought long and hard about it, how I can answer this question about the tabloids. So if you didn't know, and I think this is the same in America as well, there are two different sorts of newspapers. There are broadsheets and there are tabloids. And I think tabloids in America are different slightly to how they are in this country. I think in this country they are a lot more salacious. So you've got the broadsheets. Now the broadsheets are traditionally big scale newspapers, and just a little bit of history about why broadsheets came to be that kind of big sized newspaper. It was because there was a tax on the amount of pages in books and newspapers and pamphlets here in the UK. So to save on the amount of pages, what they did was make the pages so big that they needed less pages. So that's how we had these really, really big broadsheet newspapers. Now the broadsheets here in the UK typically report on, the politics, the economy, world stories, kind of hard-hitting you know, kind of grown up, if you like, news. Tabloids, like the Daily Mail, the Mirror, the Sun, there are different gradients in the tabloids anyway, all the way going from like the Daily Mail down to the Daily Star, which is like, I'll show you an example in a moment what I mean. But the tabloids are more for like what you can say. It kind of goes back to the old class system and your background. So you know, typically if you maybe were, you know, a doctor or a lawyer or, you know, somebody with, you know, a high flying job, you might typically be more interested in a broadsheet. If you are, I suppose, a more, you know, a working, the working class, as we still say in the UK, you know, you work in a factory or a shop or something of that nature, you would probably typically read the tabloids. Then also you've got the additional factor of certain tabloids and broadsheets are both kind of, they might have a political leaning. So some of them might be Labour Party supporting papers. Some of them might be of a conservative leaning when it comes to the newspapers. Then you've got the fact that lots of the newspapers are owned by the same person. So you've got class, you've got jobs, you've got time, you've got education levels. The way that all the papers are written is completely different. So one of the things that I did for my A-levels here in the UK was English language. Now I was trying to think back over 20 years ago now to when I was doing my A-levels, and one of the things that we looked at was the differences between tabloid journalism and broadsheet journalism. And one of the big difference is in the use of language and the topics. So for example, in a tabloid, they use more simple words. They don't use big words. Punctuation, they don't use as much punctuation. The way that it's formatted, it's in more slimline columns to make it appear more bite-sized, more readable. They are more salacious. They present more opinion as fact. When it's not, it's just opinion. Whereas if you compare that to a broadsheet, they have much more longer sentences. They use full punctuation. They use you know, more vocabulary. The vocabulary is higher. The headlines are different. So, for example, in a broadsheet, they might refer to a policeman as a police person or a policeman or a policewoman. In a tabloid, they might refer to it as a cop. I mean, maybe not a cop here in the UK, but they would refer to it as different. The language is different, and yeah, I would say what you read might depend upon your family background, what sort of class that you are in, and you know, the unofficial class system is still here in the UK. People, you know, might want to read middle class newspapers or broadsheets to be a little bit more upper class and that kind of thing. So it also depends on, you know, what you see on your breakfast table. If your parents always have the Daily Mirror on your breakfast table, then it's more likely that you are going to pick up that paper when you start to read papers. In the UK, it was the Sun tabloid newspaper, and it's only been about 6, 7, 8 years that they stopped having a topless female on page 3. You may have known them as the page 3 girls, and these are newspapers that were on everyone's family breakfast table. They would have a naked, apart from, they'd be covered down below, but they'd have their full tartars out on display on page 3. And I'm not just talking a small picture, I'm talking like the whole of page 3 would be splashed across everyone's family breakfast table. You know, we're talking about a certain type of person. Not everybody reads the tabloids, is what I'm trying to say. And even within the tabloids, there are even worse tabloids than just some of the ones that you might know of. And as an example of that, I actually have a link to share with you. So let me just flick to where I want to talk about. And I appear to have lost my link again. So let me just try and find it. Right, where is it? Right, I'm gonna have to find it again, so bear with me while I try and find it. Okay, so what I'm actually looking for is the front pages of the newspapers. So, right, I think I found my link. So yeah, as soon as it comes up, I will click on it. Where is it? Oh no, I can't find it now. I had a really good link. It had all of today's newspapers on. Now I can't seem to find it. Why can't I find it? It was a really good example because it had all of today's newspapers and all the headlines and how they've reported on the same story, and it really showed the difference between the newspapers. Hang on. I still might be able to. Got it. It wasn't the link I was going to share, but it's a link. So again, I will pop this in the description. So come on, computer, work. Right, click on this link and it will take you to all of today's front pages and how the different newspapers are reporting on them. And you'll see what I mean about the broadsheets being formatted different. How the amount of words on a page. So, for example, you have the Daily Mirror, which is a tabloid. Lockdown Britain, it's chaos. So, I mean, again, you know, it's not chaos. That's just an emotive word they're using. Compared to the Daily Telegraph, which is a broadsheet, the Long Road to Freedom, all the way down to the Daily Star, which is probably one of the lowest form of tabloids. Mr. Blobby ruins summer, and then a picture of you know, a scantily clad woman on the top. Baz the Builder, and then they've mocked up Boris Johnson with a builder's hat on. I mean, you can see, if you look at that selection of newspapers, how different newspapers are reporting. The Independent, Johnson eases lockdown. Where's another tabloid? Boris keeps handbrake on, says the Daily Mail. We've got all these different ways of presenting the same story. Why people read them? I think it's more of a class thing. It's what you've been used to, what you've been brought up with. Yeah, I mean, people can change what sort of papers they're used to. There is still social mobility that goes on. But yeah, that was my answer. It's not just as simple as saying this is the definitive reason. There are many, many different reasons as to why people read the tabloids, but not everyone does, and not everybody believes everything that is written in them. It's almost more like an ongoing soap opera, I suppose. Okay, right. I'm going to go back to some more comments. There were lots of really positive comments about the channel as well, so thank you so much. Riley says, are you going to keep this channel or turn off the comment section? I noticed there are a lot of trolls coming to your channel. I have been trying over the past 5 days to delete any negative comments that I see. Now, I can't always get to them straight away. It is pretty much only me that's deleting them now. So as soon as I see one, I delete it. And unfortunately, that deletes the entire thread. Well, I say unfortunately. Probably fortunately, it deletes the entire thread. So I have been going around and deleting. So no, I'm not going to turn the comment section off, because there are still many, many people who enjoy them and are following the new rules of this channel. Now, Curlit Wilson, I was confused about your comment because you say, thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you. Do you know why Amazon has cancelled the Finding Freedom book? Well, I was confused because I'd already pre-ordered my book with Amazon. So I went on to amazon.co.uk. I typed in Finding Freedom and it's still available. So I don't know which country you're talking about, but here in the UK, Finding Freedom is still available. It's still available for pre-order. It's listed at £17.60. You can get it on Kindle for £9.99, paperback for £15.40. And it still says you can order it and get it by August the 11th, which is obviously the release date. So I was a bit confused by that question because as far as I'm aware, it's still available everywhere and I can't see a reason why it wouldn't be available. Okay, so I had Cypher wanting me to talk about the Tyler Perry mansion. I've already spoken about that. And you say also the facts about Harry and Meghan paying off Frogmore Cottage and their security. Apparently that needs to be said again. Well, I haven't heard anything else further about Frogmore other than the last time that I spoke about it, which was that Harry and Meghan had said that they were, through a spokesperson, that they were going to pay back the money on the Frogmore Cottage. We won't know if that has actually been paid back until the statements from the Crown Estates are released next. So that will be recorded. Just as we found out through those official public record statements how much money was spent on Frogmore Cottage, it will also show how much money has come back into the royal family, the Crown Estates, from that. So we aren't going to find out how much or when Harry and Meghan have paid back what they said they were going to pay back until those public documents are indeed released. So, and I'm sure the media will pick up on it as soon as it has been released. But like I say, these are a matter for public record, so anyone can go and find it out once they have been revealed. Lots of people commenting that it's none of anyone's business where Harry and Meghan are living. Susan, I've already touched on this. She says, do I read the tabloid stories or view some of the ugly YouTube videos out there? Well, unfortunately, yes, I do have to read the unfortunate tabloid stories because otherwise I wouldn't know what they're saying to be able to tell you guys whether or not they're true or not. And no, I don't watch any of the ugly YouTube videos. I may have, like, when they first burst on the scenes, I kind of clicked on one or two just to see what they were, how they were reporting. I didn't stay very long, let's put it that way. Probably about a minute or two is all I could stomach. Then I did the hide from recommendations. So no, I don't watch any of the YouTube videos, but unfortunately I do have to still read the tabloid stories just to find out what people are saying, because unfortunately I get a lot of people reading those tabloid stories and then coming on the comments kind of almost regurgitating what they've read. So I need to know what's being said before I can comment on it. So yes, I do have to read the tabloid stories online. I don't actually get the physical papers, but no, I do not watch the YouTube videos. Right. When is the Harry and Oprah collaboration due? I'm not entirely sure of the date, and I'm not sure whether what's going on in the world right now is going to delay anything, whether or not, that would be delayed, because I can't see a reason why, unless anything needs to still be produced, why it couldn't be released as was planned. But whether or not Harry and Oprah may wish to delay until things are back to a bit more of a normal standing. So we'll have to wait and see with that. Again, nothing much going on. Speculation of the launch of their new non-profit. All we are aware of at the moment is it's called Archewell, and I still don't know the exact pronunciation of it. I've heard very varying different pronunciations. Some people are going back to what the proper kind of Greek pronunciation of it would have been. I'm not sure. I'm still tentatively pronouncing their new non-profit Archewell, but it could be Arkwell. I've heard people referring to it as Arkwell. I'm still tentatively going with Archewell, but again, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Do I think the 1 year royal trial separation will likely be extended? Now that's a tricky one, because In a normal world where, you know, we didn't have COVID-19, Harry and Meghan would be well getting stuck into their new life and, you know, launching their new non-profit, and they would be, you know, trying to earn their crust like everyone else does. COVID-19 has kind of delayed everything, it's pushed everything back, and whether or not the royal family would, you know, extend that until Harry and Meghan have actually really started going with it, I don't know. It remains to be seen. Unfortunately, that is between Harry, Meghan, the Queen, Charles, and William, I guess. But you know, on another note, do I think that Harry and Meghan would ever go back to the royal family? 'Cause I know that's a question further down on the list after that 1 year trial separation. Again, it's a tricky one. Who knows? Who knows about it? You know, this is all, you know, Harry and Meghan striving to be independent. That's one of the things that they said when they announced that they were going to step back as senior royals. They wanted to be financially independent. They wanted to stand on their own 2 feet, and they wanted to thrive. And only Harry and Meghan are ever going to know if this step has actually been successful for them. And like I say, you know, it's not always going to be how much money they make, where they live, what cars they drive, who they hang out with. It's going to be a feeling, and it's going to be a feeling that both of them are going to know, and only Harry and Meghan are going to know whether what the result is what they wanted, and we aren't going to know that. You know, Harry and Meghan are going to be the only ones who can view the success of their move to step back as senior royals. So it's kind of it's not really very useful for anyone to speculate on whether it's been a success or not, because it's, like I say, it's not just how much money you make, where you live, it's how you feel. And Harry and Meghan are going to be the only ones who can judge whether or not it's been a successful move or not. And the last question that I wanted to answer today was by Senji Dog, who says, how do people in the UK feel about us Americans who deeply respect the royal family because of their commitment to service and because they typically manage to be sane and comforting voices in times of crisis? Well, I feel like I can kind of answer that one, because British people, you know, feel really flattered that people look at other people around the world, look at our royal family in a time of crisis as a bit of a focal point, because lots of countries around the world have their politicians, of course they do. They have their heads of state who can voice messages, but it always seems a little bit different when it comes from someone who doesn't have a political motive, who, for example, is not always looking to the next election or the next this or the next that. It always seems a little bit more genuine when you've got someone who is just there, and you know, they are there. There is a clear line of succession into the future of where that's going to be. They don't have to play up to politics. In fact, it's one of their key roles and functions is to be apolitical. So yeah, it feels really flattering that other people are looking to, for example, when the Queen makes a speech, or you know, the annual Christmas Day message, or when the Queen made the speech about the coronavirus at the start of lockdown. You know, it does feel really flattering that other people across the world are also getting a lot of strength and stay from that message. And you know, hey, we don't mind sharing. I think as British people, we quite like the fact that other people almost kind of adopt the Queen a bit like a grandmother, and I think it's quite nice that people feel that she's a little bit like a granny of the world, so to speak. A bit of a sane voice in lots of chaos. Right, I'm going to try, if I can, to read some comments on the live chat, because I feel like I've been talking at you for quite a while. Let's have a look. Oh, Latoya apparently asked a question. Latoya says, if anything happened to Meghan, do you think that Harry will go back to his family? Well, I wasn't thinking quite in the same way that you phrased that question, but I was thinking about as you do sometimes when when you're in the shower and you're doing your own thing. I was kind of thinking about Harry and Meghan's initial statement when they said that they wanted to split their time equally between the UK and the USA, and I was kind of thinking, I hope that Harry does come back because, and I think this is one of the mistakes that was made when Harry and Meghan got married, was this kind of expectation put on Meghan to just kind of leave the USA behind and come lock, stock and barrel and live in the UK. And I was looking back and I was thinking there was lots and lots and lots happening at that time. Harry met Meghan, they got engaged, they got married, they had Archie, they went into royal life, Meghan left her homeland. There was a lot going on, and I often wonder whether things would have been different if Meghan had had more time to be able to return. Not that she wasn't able to, but I think she was more kind of expected to just live in the UK permanently. I wonder if things would have been different if she'd have had more time to be able to make that adjustment, because there was a lot happening. There was a lot happening in a very small space of time. And I wonder if things would have been different if she'd have been able to have had more time in the US with Harry and Archie as well. So on the flip reverse, I don't want to see the same mistake happening again, but this time from Harry, because it's a really big ask. It's a lot going on for Harry to kind of completely lock, stock and barrel move into an environment that's not his home upbringing, so to speak. So I think they need that balance, and I hope that they get what they wanted originally in their statement of intent, which was to divide their time between the UK and the USA. I think that will work. That will be the best of both worlds. Like I say, I wouldn't want to see on Harry the same mistake that I think kind of went wrong with Meghan. Let me know your thoughts on that. CP says, I'm glowing, thank you. I think I've caught the sun a little bit. I have put factor 50 on. V says they wouldn't even allow Meghan to go to New York for her baby shower without attacking her like a pack of wild dogs. The media at that time, I mean, even now, but at that time it was really intense. That's when we'd had all the things about the private jets, and they really did. You are completely right. They went to town on the whole baby shower thing, and I think that was just Meghan trying to get some normal and some balance back in her life. And on reflection, I think that is what Meghan needed more of, was to return home more, and go back to America and just experience the things that she was used to experiencing, because culturally there is still differences obviously between America and the UK, and like I said, I don't want to see the same mistake happening with Harry. I do hope that Harry does, with Meghan and Archie, does come back, and spend X amount of months a year in the UK to focus on his patronages and associations here in the UK as well. I'm sure they will, but I hope that they make that time to do that, because I don't want to see the same mistake happening again. Arnold Sanders says, why do Brits believe in putting a woman in her place? I have two words for you. Margaret Thatcher. The first female prime minister going. You know, America still hasn't had a female president, and one of the things, you know, that a lot of people I think were hoping for was a female president. In the UK, women have achieved here in the UK, and you know, we've got a queen. We've had Margaret Thatcher. We've had Theresa May as prime minister. I think there's a different issue in your question there. But no, I don't think in general we put women down. We have had a lot of elevated a lot of women and supported a lot of women in top positions. A lot of women now are in places of authority in the UK. There's still work to be done, but I think it's a lot better here in the UK than many other countries around the world. Still work to be done. There always is. There's still work to be done with the LGBT community. There's still work to be done in the black community. There's still work to be done with trans people. There's still work and equality to be done everywhere in every genre. But I think in terms of, you know, prominent female figures, I don't think the UK is the worst place in the world. Sylvia says, I'm sure Harry and Meghan will work through when they will need to work in the USA and the UK once this pandemic is over. I'm sure they will. I think probably a lot of things will be on hold. Yeah, there have been pretty strong. Nobody could say that Margaret Thatcher wasn't a strong female. Let's put it that way. Right. Okay, I think I'm going to leave. How long have I been on for? Almost an hour. I feel like we've had a really, really good catch-up going on here. So, for those of you who like live streams, I will still be going forward and doing live streams. But I will also be doing some of the style of video that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks as well. So expect a kind of mix of videos, a mix of live streams and a mix of kind of pre-recorded videos as well. Do let me know in the comment section what you prefer. Do you prefer the lives? Do you prefer the previous type of video I was doing? Karen, just to quickly answer, Karen says, what will happen after the first year? We don't know. I mean, I presume that once the royal family and Harry and Meghan are satisfied with how they've been working, how it's worked out, things will just carry on the way that it is now. But obviously, if there are any tweaks to be made from either side, that will be spoken about, that will be agreed about between those two parties. And again, we don't know what issues there will be to talk about because we don't know whether things have gone well from either side's point of view. So again, it's a case of just we have to wait and see. Thank you to everyone who says they prefer lives. I personally prefer lives myself. Right, okay, it is time to say goodbye. So, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media and also hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please do remember, if you're not already, to subscribe to the channel. So, from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye. And stay safe.